And we're live, and we're live. Hello, hello, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is blessed and highly favored. I know I am. I would attest that Coach Mike Brown is also blessed and highly favored. I am your host and current college bound athletics intern and former Harvard graduate Scott Woods. And today I have the great pleasure of introducing our guest today, Coach Mike Brown. A little bit about him before we dive into it. Before Coach Brown began his transformative coaching career, Coach Brown proudly served nearly a decade in the United States Navy as a naval air crewman. While in the Navy, he learned about the values of discipline, leadership, and commitment, which allowed him to transfer those same qualities over to the gridiron. Over the last 15 years, Coach Brown has won a district championship at Mandarin High School in Florida, coached with NFL flag and USA football, served as a national team scout for USA football, and was selected as one of just 18 coaches nationwide for the prestigious USA Select Bowl. He also founded the Girl Power 7v7 Flag Football League and the Queen Bee Sport Academy, which has helped over 500 female athletes while creating new opportunities within the sport. Now, he's the head coach. He is the head women's coach for their flag football team at Gardner-Webb. With great honor and a little bit, I just want to give you a little bit of round of applause because that background was a little extensive. I give you our guest, Coach Mike Brown. Coach, how are you doing today?
How you doing, Scott? I'm doing fantastic. Like you said, highly favored and highly blessed for sure. And I appreciate the introduction, and looking forward to getting into some flag football stuff with you today.
Now we got a jam-packed show, only 30 minutes, but we're gonna make the most of it. So with
Yes,
that,
sir.
let's just hop straight into it. First of all, nice background. Can't help but notice the USA. You kind of a little decked out back there. I got to work on my background. I don't really have anything. So as I said, I just rattled off a lot. The background's extensive. You're a very well accomplished man, and that's very awesome to read about. It's very awesome to see. I want to know just a little bit about yourself and just more about you and where are you from? Did you play sports growing up in high school? And how did you go from military to being one of the leading architects in women's flag football today?
Yeah, excited to share that journey with you. I did play both football and flag football coming up as a youth player. Uh, when I got into the military, I really dove into flag football in an intramural setting and just kind of fell in love with the game. And the opportunity and the correlations between the game of football, obviously my time in the military, and there's a lot of different lessons to be learned. And uh, when I transitioned out of the military, I was working for a big Fortune 500 company, and really doing well for myself and for our family. And but there was something was missing. And when you're in the military, once you get past, doing your job from a day-to-day standpoint, you rise in the ranks. It's about leading young men and women. And so I had missed that feeling of purpose and impact. And so I got into coaching, full time back in 2017 with QB Impact, coaching nationally with Coach Tom George, who happens to also be my mentor in the military. And so that was, that kind of led to all of the other opportunities that I've had over the years. Was coaching at Mandarin High School on the tackle side, and I saw girls playing flag football for the first time, and I thought it would be great to one day have the opportunity to coach my daughters in that space. And when the opportunity became available, I never looked back. I always laugh when I tell everybody. I looked at my wife 3 weeks in, and I go, I don't think I'm ever coaching boys again. And to your point, like the differences between coaching boys and girls at that age, women, when they're so passionate about the sport, and they finally have a platform in which they can express themselves in the game. growing up in it, I'm sure that there's a lot of women around the country that are finally applauding the idea that women get this, opportunity in this space. And it's going to culminate in 2028 when we play for the first Olympic gold medal in LA. And I'm excited to see uh, that potential, and just blessed to be able to be in this arena where I have an opportunity, as you said, to kind of, shape what this looks like for the future generations.
No, definitely. I really love everything you said. Getting back into coaching. You said you just missed it. How you those those values transfer over. Because the same thing for me. I wasn't military personnel, but as soon as I left the game, I had to get back into coaching because it's just something gives you a purpose. Gives you like a motivation to help the younger generation out and give them instill in them values and give them opportunities that you may have not been able to have yourself, or maybe you did have them and you want to help somebody else out, especially with the growth of women's flag football. I just started working with college outbound athletics, probably only been an employee for like 2 months, but I can just see how badly these women want it, or
Yeah.
these women, these girls, they want it bad. They see the opportunity in front of them, and it's they're heading for it, and they're taking on with both hands. They're grabbing the ring with both hands, and they're gonna do it. And I'm excited to see how it all shapes out. I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. Happened to notice as I was doing my research on you, Coach, that you've only been at Gardner-Webb for a couple months, and I honestly wanted to ask you, what are some of the trials, or what are some of the challenges and tribulations that you have faced while trying to build a successful college program from scratch?
Yeah, I'm in my second year of college coaching. I was at Division II school in Conference Carolinas at Lees McRae last year, and was blessed to have that opportunity. And you know, the successful finish of that season gave me the opportunity to join the Running Bulldogs here at Gardner-Webb, and uh, it was an honor to be asked to do that. And like you said, I think we're up to about 20 teams now at a national level that are playing Division I. And whether you're a player or a coach, it's everybody's aspiration to compete at the highest level. And so to have the opportunity to do that, I feel uniquely blessed in that way. So I've been here on campus for about 6 weeks, and we're going to have a class of 27 girls come in this year. So we did a lot of work in a very compressed timeline. We have 14 transfers coming from the Division II or NAIA level, which will provide a level of experience that I think is going to be important as a first year program. And then our class of 2026 has 11 individuals coming in that are some of the best talent around the nation. Lots of girls from Florida, Georgia. I have a girl athlete coming in from North Carolina, and one from California. And so we're excited for the opportunity to compete this year. We're going to compete as an independent ahead of our conference, which is going to get kicked off in 27-28. And I think that what that's going to do is provide an opportunity for us to compete, right? Build culture, and have great camaraderie. And I think that those three things together in year one will provide a foundational experience for us to be able to really take advantage of, hopefully being able to compete at the top of our conference. And then, we're eyeing the opportunity to compete for a national championship in 2028.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, Coach, you're moving fast for 6 weeks. I guess the world don't stop for anybody, huh? You gotta
No,
go,
sir.
huh?
Well, this we're in a space and we're in a world where it's evolving so quickly that if you're taking a day off, you're moving backwards. So we definitely value the ability to just be adaptable and flexible in the space, and just trying to provide the opportunity to compete every day. And if I wanted in the assembly of this roster to compete, to have the most competitive environment we can, right, from a practice standpoint, so that when we get into those moments that matter, we're ready to take advantage of the opportunity.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, everything you're saying is exactly. I mean, I coach high school, a step below you. I'm not there at the collegiate level yet, but
Hey, well, let's
everything.
go. It's all important.
Hey, it's all the same
So
thing, man. Everything you're saying is spot on. Instilling those values, especially it starts in practice, because you do it in practice, and eventually it just becomes second nature when the moment comes. And this is, the death beam from the aliens are pointing at you, and you won't even think about it. It's just another day. You don't let the pressure of the moment get to you. So yeah, practice is important. You kind of touched up upon recruiting and how you're able to build out your recruiting classes and your recruiting landscape. There's no secret that college sports and college right now is, well, I mean, it's vast, it's big, it's changing by the hour, changing by the day. And like you said, if you take a day off, you're behind, and it's going to be hard to catch up. So I just wanted to know how has collegiate recruiting been for you in your program, and what would like a typical day recruiting on the road or recruiting an athlete for you look for you?
yeah, thanks for asking that. You know, you don't know what you don't know as a coach coming from the high school ranks to the college ranks. I've been in and around recruiting from the tackle football side, so I had a good idea of not only what's said and what's valued in that space, and I kind of utilized that as my base for coming over here as now a collegiate coach recruiting athletes. For me, the challenges are, there is so much talent in so many pockets of the country. It's how do you find those young ladies, right, that are ready to compete at this level? And so what I did is, I've been leaning on my network of people that I know, and I've been blessed, like, you know, to have a reach nationally with coaches that I have great relationships with. And so it starts there, and then it expands out from, I have a board where we have, depending on the class, like for example, in the 2026 class, I had over 100 athletes on my board, broken down by positions, and basically rated out by myself and my assistant coach in what we're trying to target. Skill sets, uh, football IQ, GPA, those types of things, in order to try to put together the best talent and bring them in. It's all part of the puzzle. And so, I when I first got in this arena, I thought, when I did make the jump, and I looked at my wife after coaching the Florida Gateway team. I recruited or I got the opportunity to coach them in an adult league where I had, a bunch of the best players in the nation, in order to be able to kind of get seen for USA football, and hopefully get an opportunity into trials. And post that adult tournament, I looked at my wife and I go, I think I'm ready to coach 14 Ferraris, right? And that's what I was expecting the college space to be. You are able to recruit, the best players, and away you go. And what I did learn, at least at the Division II level, and in some respects at the Division I level, or in the NAIA as well, you know, um, you can recruit those players, but there is a financial side of the house too. And so that's presented its challenges, and I think that I'm finally in a place where we have a good balance and mix, where we're able to go and target some of the best players in the nation, and those athletes want to come, you know, to this place where, the facilities are built out for them, and they can see themselves, ready to compete for conference and national championships. And then just being in a great faith-based environment at Gardner-Webb, where, being a Christian and being able to talk about those values, those things matter to both the players and the community around them. So that's been the recruiting, you know, pathway for the last several years, and just continuing to learn in the process.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, what you don't know, you don't know. You just got to, every day, you're never too old to learn something new.
Yeah.
One thing I love that you kind of spilled on about is that how involved you are. I know a lot of head coaches who kind of delegate that. Recruiting coordinator, recruiting guy. You handle that. I'm more of like an overseer, but I love how in depth and you're all the way in it, hands on. So that's a really cool thing to see. Are you on the road a lot in this period of time or no?
I have gotten the opportunity to get on the road, but again, talking about kind of we're still in the infancy of what this really looks like, and so from a budget perspective, and also from just a you know operational standpoint, we don't have the same resources with regards to coaching, your personnel that are behind you. And so we've gotten creative with that. And, luckily I have, two coaches, and, coach, Troy Cruz, who's been with me for a number of years on the club side in both fives and sevens, and Coach Renee Elizondo Jr., who is out in Arizona. I have a couple years of experience with him. He's a great architect of programs and recruiting as well. And so to be able to have people that, love and invest in you, and see the vision and the value of, being able to be volunteering in this space right now as we continue to build and grow the program, and one day be able to bring them on as full-time coaches. I'm just really thankful for their passion and their commitment to what we're trying to build. And I think that ultimately is, going to help set us apart down the road.
Nice, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like you have a good plan going. You say you might not know, but it sounds like you know, Coach. it sounds like you're doing well. I do want to spin back to something you kind of said earlier in your earlier monologue about the difference between men and women's sports, and how I think women are very underrated when it comes to the competitive aspect. Now, like I said, just wanting to grab the bull by the horns, and you know do what it may. So when I had Dr. Corey Alexander here as my first guest on the podcast, he happened to mention that the biggest difference between men and women's sports is that girls are more hungrier, girls are more competitive, and they're more coachable. And I want to know, do you have agree? Do you have a take on that? And if not, what are some key differences that you see between men and women in collegiate sports?
I feel that competitiveness is the same. I think hunger and being maybe overlooked or undervalued, I think is probably the temperature of the room from a female athlete's perspective, and especially within the landscape or the ecosystem of football, right? And so flag football provides an outlet. If you think about it socially, baseball is still very popular, and it is America's sport, but I think that football in general is as popular, if not more popular, at this point in our lives. So, those women and those young girls now have the opportunity, where it was once just a dream, right, to now be living those dreams. And I think that, coachability, definitely a strong suit to female athletes. They're much more open to understanding. When they ask questions, it's not usually to challenge, but it's to understand.
Mhm.
And my passion in moving over in 2021 from the tackle game to flag, my vision for this was to put the same level of time and attention that we put in the boys space, and that I put in chasing my career goals on the men's side into now the women's game. And so that means, having the same level of film study, putting the same level of effort into into putting together practice plans, and they have the same resources, the same types of you know equipment that we would use. Our team utilizes a jugs machine, and I know that a lot of programs utilize that, but again, I just look at it, if that's a tool that the guys are using to get better, and you can get a week's worth of catches in a day, then those opportunities should be afforded to our female athletes as well. And so, just thankful that our institution, our leadership here at Gardner-Webb sees that same value in being able to do that. And so, yeah, that's kind of the differences between men's and women's sport, and just kind of how I've approached development with regards to female athletes, being they're just as capable, and just at like the especially particular in the flag space. You watch women play flag football, and you watch novice, like boys that are just kind of dabbling in the game, because again, you think about it, the boys have so many more demands on their time from the tackle space, right? Whether it's 7-on-7, whether it's off season, lifts, and that's great that they're in those programs. So you can really see females separating themselves as this is their game, right? They can now compete from a high school, from club, high school, collegiate, on all levels. Professionally now, with tomorrow sports entering the landscape, and the women's flag football league, and then also now the Olympics. So there are infinite pathways for them to compete at the highest level, and again, so thankful to be a part of it.
No, no, that's awesome. I think an excellent point that when it comes to especially tackle football, there's just a whole lot more opportunities for exposure. 7-on-7, one-on-one camps. There's one-on-one everything. 7-on-7 everything. Football can be year round. So it's really just about creating more opportunities for exposure, just more opportunities to show what you have. I like your jugs point. I was a big jugs guy when I was in college, 100 a day. I feel like you're the same, 100 a
Yep.
day.
You got it. The standard is the standard. Like, you got to love the process, right? And so the process is individually, putting in the work that you need to put in to maximize your opportunity from a competitive standpoint, so that when you get out on practice, so like there's always process improvement individually that rolls up into team, that rolls up to ultimately us being successful.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, totally. And I'm totally with you. I agree with everything. If you go out in the streets, there are whispers. I don't know if you heard them, but there's whispers in the streets. They're saying that you are rumored to be a coach at the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And I wanted to know how that opportunity presented itself, and is this something you are looking forward to?
I have no idea where that's coming from, because I am not. At least I don't believe I am. My football journey with USA Football started off as a select bowl coach, and then I got the opportunity to be on the 15U junior national team as a quality assurance coach the second year, and then this is my third year with USA Football as a national team scout. And so, very blessed to have the opportunity, and be around some of the best coaches in the world, and be around some of the pinnacle of what flag football is. Would I love the opportunity to coach on the national stage and kind of get back into coaching? Yeah, I would love that. Um, you know, the the thing about that level of flag football is, unfortunately, in order to have that opportunity, somebody has to fail. And all of those coaches are and scouts are friends of mine. And so if the opportunity at one point presents itself, I'm ready for that challenge, and excited to be able to take on that. It would be a dream come true. But as far as rumors or what have you, I can't speak to any of the validity of any of that stuff.
Of course, that's why they're rumors. Never,
That's right.
that's why they're rumors. Then let me just, switch the question up a little bit. Then, as a coach who's been coaching flag football for a long time now, what does it mean to you to see that the sport that you love is now going to be in the Olympic Games?
Um, it means that, I'm not the only one in this. And the reality is that there are plenty of trailblazers, from players, female players, and male players, with it being both men's and women's. There's been people that have been doing this for over 2 and 3 decades, right? Playing the sport, blood, sweat, and tears. And so to be a part of almost the culmination of what that's going to look like. I applaud every single person that was ahead of me, and hope that we can carry that torch, and make everybody proud in what that looks like. And at USA Football, there's a saying of being the standard, right, the gold standard, and that's what we try to approach in the way that we interact, right, the way that we go about our business every day. And the thought process there is, if you're living that gold standard and you're doing that in everything that you do, then the results will take care of themselves. So I have no doubt that both the men's and women's, they're headed to Dusseldorf, Germany, here within the next week, and they have an opportunity at Worlds to compete. And we're expecting both of them to come back with gold medals around their neck here in a couple weeks' time.
Definitely, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's just cool. Do you know how long Worlds is? Is Worlds a week, or do they just play one game, or is it a tourney, kind of like how
It's a
soccer
it's a
basketball is?
it's a tournament with pool play for several days, and then a single elimination bracket on the weekend. So they'll be getting in several days before to get some practice and some acclimation in, and then they're going to be playing in their brackets. And I think that, from talking to the coaches and kind of getting an opportunity, everybody's really excited. They just came off a training camp for this week, which is the last opportunity that the team had to see each other before competition. And aspirations are high. They're in great spirits. They feel like the work is done, and now it's just time to go and execute.
Now it's just time to go play ball. Simple as
That's right.
that. Never been to Germany. I might have a reason to go now. I gotta see how much the flight tickets are. Might be a little bit out my budget, but
Get your passport stamped, and get College Bound Athletics to get you out there and on the scene doing some reporting.
definitely, definitely. Coach Brown, really appreciate your time. We are approaching our time limit, so I just have one quick thing for you. One last thing. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna shoot it at you. Just want to know what's next for you, and what's next for girls flag football. What's next for flag football in general?
I mean, the future is now. So continued expansion at the high school level. There's 20, last I know, 22 states that have sanctioned it. Continued growth in the collegiate space with teams. Hopefully, we'll get more Division I teams and schools to see the value in allowing these women the stage and the opportunity to compete. And then the professional development of a league that provides these women the opportunity to extend their careers and have an opportunity to play at the highest level. Once we get to that point, which we're moving at a rapid pace, but there's always more work to do. So I don't think that any of us that are sitting in the opportunity in the places to have an impact are going to be that are going to be satisfied with this until the job's complete.
Definitely, definitely. No big things coming in the sport within the coming months, within the coming years. So got to be on the lookout for that. I'll have my binoculars out. I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Well, Coach Brown, I just want to, thank you for this time, sincerely. You dropped some real ball knowledge, some real insight on us. I appreciate your time and you giving us 30 minutes to just talk ball and talk about the landscape of women's flag football and flag football in general and college sports. And, just really appreciate your knowledge.
Yep. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for what College Bound Athletics does for athletes, and look forward to your guys' continued success.
Of course. Everyone who tuned in and watched, appreciate you coming. If you're watching this on YouTube later, I appreciate you watching. There will be more episodes coming soon. And until then, I will see you in the next video. And next time we will have some theme music. I promise. Everyone have a great night. Thank you.